Dear brothers and sisters in Christ Jesus, we have the first reading taken from the book of Kings, which speaks about the prophet Elijah and his activity. And through the first reading, it has been made very clear to know who is real God and who is true God. And many times in the world, we have plenty of people who are very much confused and disturbed when they hear someone says, I know the God and we believe in that religion, and others says, we are the one, we are the real one, we are the true one, and we have the true God. And at times there are people who don't believe either in God, and they say, we have a God but He is unknown, and yet we believe, and He is all powerful. But at times we also have people who don't believe in God, but they believe in the magic and all the spells that is connected with it. So, identifying a true God has become a real difficult task for us today. But many people have struggled to find God. They wanted to know who was the real true God, and they tried the means possible to know it. But a few succeeded while others did not. And today, the first reading tells us with an ardent affirmation saying, we have found the true God who is real and He is the original. So we have Prophet Elijah, who is the mouthpiece of God, and he has been with God, and God has been instructing him and guiding him all these time. And today, King Ahab is very much confused and disturbed after the words of Prophet Elijah, who has just warned, saying to make him away or turn him away from the evil ways that he was. And at last, Prophet Elijah says, O King Ahab, how long will you be like this? We are just having greater confusion all the time. And I say I believe in one true God, and you are into other religious gods and into their beliefs. And it is like as if you are limping each and every time. Limping would imply that he is not able to fix on something. For example, we have two legs so that we can walk straight on the land. But limping would mean we are unable to place because we are not sure of things. So Prophet Elijah says it's like a way of limping that you have been walking for so long. So just put an end to it. You might have been limping for so long, but let us conclude it and let us bring up a solution today. And so he says, gather all the prophets of your Gentile God Baal, and let us see who is the true and real God. And we find the word saying, Prophet Elijah was alone, and opponents were very big. There were 450 prophets against him. The reading has been so good because we are able to know who is the real and true God, and also who is the real and true prophet. Both the reality has been revealed in this reading today. That is, who is the real God, and at the same time, who is the real prophet. And we have these 450 prophets of Baal who have been there. They would have been doing some rituals all this time. And as we know through the word that there has been 7 years of dryness, 7 years of emptiness in the land, and there has been no water, there has been no source, there is no yield, and people are still suffering and are in pain. But to a surprise is that this God of Baal is considered to be a god of fertility. He is considered to be a god of prosperity. But we find, though he is assigned the titles of God of prosperity and fertility, he was not able to provide anything for the people who are in pain. For the 7 long years, in the 7 long years of dryness, people were suffering without water, for there was no rain, there was no dew. But at the same time, these 450 prophets of Baal and this god, as Baal they call him, was all aloof. They were never considered and they were all silent. But we have a true incident here wherein Prophet Elijah says, bring up all the prophets that you have. Let the Baal, the God that you say so, let him come, and we'll see who is the true and real God. So he tells the king, okay, get those 2 bulls, and you take one for your God, and I take one for my true God. And the bull is kept, and at this normal thing, it's like a rules and regulations for sacrifice, it's given and provided. Keep the sacrifice bull in the center and keep the fire logs to be burned, and don't ever put fire to it, because we wanted to know who is the real God. Don't give a flame to it, because we wanted to know the true flame which is going to burn them. And as we know, these prophets of Baal, they are preparing the altar, and the bull is kept, and they started chanting or saying the slogas for the Baal, the king or the god that they had wanted to come over. They said all the mantras and chants so that this king or the Baal, god of fertility that they considered, would come over and will make it a flame and to be burnt into ashes. And they said all the mantras. It started all in the morning, and it went on. Even at midday, they were still lamenting. They were still chanting the psalms, all the mantras that they had, but nothing worked out. And still, these prophets of Baal, they were all going. They were still saying, okay, let us also give blood sacrifice. They could have even give their blood slots. They would have slit their skin, and they would have also shed blood for it. At least in a way, okay, let our blood sacrifice at least call our God. But however they much tried, however long they tried, but this God Baal did not answer. This God that they considered to be God was not at all available there. And we have the funny words of Prophet Elijah saying, call up still more, call up loudly, make still more, shout louder, so that your God may hear. And he might be busy in something, or he might be even sleeping somewhere, or he might be looking, or he might be in a picnic or a trip. And so Prophet Elijah makes up funny words there. But still, these 450 prophets, the chants and mantras of 450 prophets did not work out at all. The mantras of 450 prophets there did not work out at all, for the God Baal that they considered was not a real God. The Baal, the God that they considered, was not a true God. And after a so prolonged duration, even at the last peak moment, their God did not turn up, and the sacrifice was not at all burned up. And then we have Prophet Elijah saying, okay, you have done this your part, and let me show that I believe in a true God, and let the power, the Almighty's power, may be showcased here. So he also prepares the altar, and he keeps 12 stones, recalling of all the 12 tribes of Israel. For this Exodus event, or the tribes are always focused and highlighted ever since the Jewish history. We have also in the book of Revelation, wherein the tribes of Israel are highlighted. We have the disciples who are 12, we have 12 stones who are 12 pillars, we have 12 seats, 12 thrones in heaven, and plenty more of numbers implying about this 12 and his goodness, recalling of the tribes of Israel. And the stones are kept, and everything is prepared, and the wood is kept, and the bull is slaughtered and is kept on for burnt offering. Then he calls out saying, Lord, the God of Abraham, let these people know that you are the real and true God. Let these people know that you are the original, and you are the one who hears our prayers. If we say something, or if we ask anything, you are the one who provides us. For we see in Matthew 7:7 that ask and it will be given. And this prophet was asking for help to showcase that this Yahweh God was a true God. He wanted the people around and also the prophets of Baal to understand that Yahweh was the true and real God. And he says, God of Abraham, God of Isaac, God of Jacob, we know that you are the real God and true God. And just come over this sacrifice and burn it, so that all the people will know that you are the real one. All the people will know that you are the true one. And just as his words, God comes over with a fire and burns the sacrifice into ashes. And one thing that we should notice is that when the prophets of Baal offered sacrifice at the altar, only the sacrifice was kept, and maybe not even water was sprinkled over. But here we have Prophet Elijah is saying he slaughtered the bull on the altar and also made the people to pour water over it. And we know it's not an easy thing. In water, where there is water, fire won't get catch up easily. Fire won't get catch up easily when there is water. But we have so much of water being poured over the sacrifice, but still the flame burns the whole sacrifice and it become ashes. So we know that how powerful flame our powerful God is. How powerful our Almighty God is. And we know that how powerful the God who believe is. Even if our lives are maybe completely lukewarm or it may be cold, but if God is coming into us, if the Spirit of God is coming into us, then surely it will be a flame. And that's what it implies there. And at last, fire comes down and the whole sacrifice is burnt. And now the people, the prophets of Baal, the king, and all the people who were gathered, they understand and realize who was the real and true God. And so we have all the people putting down their faces down. They worship the Almighty Yahweh there. And thereby God is worshipped, and all the people, they leave of this God of Baal and they start worshipping God, the Yahweh, the only and true God from then on. So from this incident, we have Prophet Elijah playing a mighty role for the people to understand who was the real God, for the people to understand who was the true God, for the people to understand who was the original God. And from then on, people started believing in Yahweh and they let off Baal, who seemed to be powerless, who seemed to be silent and who was not considerate in their life. So we have God our Creator in our lives. But how many times and how many occasions do I realize that I believe in a true God, and I have been given a chance, I have been given an opportunity to believe in this true God, and the God that I believe is real, the God that I believe is true, and I will never lose my faith on it, for He created me, and even before I was formed in my mother's womb, He knew me. And even this time He says, I am precious in His sight. And He has been a God who nurtures me, who guides me, He leads me, He protects me, and He continues to foster me. So believing and putting all our trust in the Lord, saying, God, help me to realize that You are the true God still more, so that I will proclaim that You are the true and real God to all the world and to the ends of the earth. And that's what the first reading calls us for us today. And when we come to the gospel, we have Jesus saying, I have come to fulfill the law. When the Jewish authorities gathered around Jesus, they found something very different in the teachings of Jesus. For their life was different and the teachings of the law was different. And what they were practicing in their life was completely different. So Jesus at occasions was warning them, saying, you whitewashed tombs. And at times He was also condemning them for their activities. Many a times and many occasions. And this disturbed the life of Jewish authorities. So what these Jewish authorities thought, they thought that He has come to take away the law that these Jewish traditions has been following. They considered that Jesus was going to abolish, or they were believing, or they were having an idea that Jesus may bring harm to the law that was created by Moses. So they were very much afraid and troubled at times. So they also sought means to disturb Jesus. They wanted to destroy Jesus, for they considered law was something very essential in their life. Law was the prior important thing in their life. For God gave Moses the law, and Moses has possessed it and has given to the people. So this law should be considered very important in their life. And anything that was against the law was considered to be against God. So these Jewish authorities and the people there considered Jesus, for Jesus was against these people who were following the law and not against law. So they thought Jesus was against this law, and so Jesus was against God. So in a way they reviled against Jesus and His teaching. But Jesus says with plenty of occasions in the course of the gospel, wherein He says, I have come to fulfill the law. I and Father are one, and Father is in me, and I am in Father. I love my Father, and Father loves me. And if you abide with us, then you will abide with us. God is abiding with me. Father is abiding with me. I abide with my Father, and Father is abiding in me. And when you love both of us, you will abide in us, and we will abide in you. And many occasions Jesus gave these words, saying that Father and He was one. But the people did not listen, for they had a closed heart, saying, our law is given and our law is only important, and nothing else we are going to listen for. Even if anyone comes forward to say that he is the Son of God, we are not going to believe. And that was the mentality that Jewish authorities had. So they considered Jesus to be a person who was going to be against the law. They considered Jesus that he was already against the law. So that also became a reason that they wanted to persecute Jesus and to put down Jesus in the front. And they keep on asking questions regarding the law of Moses. We have questions being asked regarding divorce, regarding follow of the law, regarding the commandments, and plenty more. But Jesus was very sure with the law that was taught by Moses. And it was because of this that he gave clear idea to the people there that what the real law meant. And then that's why we have also the rule of Sabbath. It said, and there was a confusion regarding with the Jewish authorities that Jesus was healing a person on the Sabbath. But Jesus very well and clearly said there that man is for Sabbath, and Sabbath is for man, and not the man for the Sabbath. Rules are meant for the proper and good life of people, and rules will not be forced or forged into the lives of men or people. It should not be a burden in their lives, for with love people should be able to obey the law. And that's what God wants, and that's what Jesus wants. And he tried these words saying to these authorities, but they never listened. They were not at all ready to listen to him. But for us to understand, it is time that we say, Jesus came into this world to fulfill the old law. All the law of Moses that was given by the Yahweh God is being fulfilled in the New Testament through Jesus. And even to this day, the law of Moses is being fulfilled by the way of life, the life that Jesus has lived, and by the teachings and the guidance that Jesus has provided us. So the law of Moses is being fulfilled in our lives even to this day. It did not end before with Jesus or with Jesus. The law of Moses is still on the process of continuing. It is still continuing in our lives. For Jesus is the fulfillment of the Old Testament, and in a way, He is also the fulfillment of the law of Moses. For example, we say, when we go, maybe we are on a travel, we are on the road, and we have the signals kept there. We have red, green or yellow. And at times we find when the signal is red, we should know that we should stop. But at times, in different places, they skip the signals, for they don't have the patience to wait there. And this is a rule there. If red is implied, it would mean give chance to the other, so the other side traffic can go, it can move, and you will have your own time for you to move. Wait for it then. But people who don't have patience, they skip it and they go. And also at times this also causes accidents. And this is a rule for the road safety there. This has been a rule for the safety of the people who travel by the road. But if we realize that this is for the safety of myself, the other who is traveling, and for all the co-passengers who are traveling, then we will obey by it and we will abide by it. If we don't care about it, then surely it will not bring us blessing. And in the same way, the law of Moses has been kept before us. We have the 10 commandments and all the teachings of the Catholic Church that are kept in our forefront to be followed by all Catholics and by all the believers. So let us keep an understanding that we may listen to all the teachings of the Catholic Church. Let us abide by the teachings of the Catholic Church and all the words that through all the means and all the faith through which the Catholic Church is propagating. And may the good Lord continue to bless us and lead us. And may Jesus be by our side and help us to fulfill all the duties that are expected from our lives. Amen.